In 1943, a village was given 30 days to vanish. Promised they'd return. They never did. Live munitions still litter the soil. It is the first of 10 ghost towns hidden across Britain, and the warnings surrounding them exist for a reason. Tyneham story is written in the language of orders and promises. On November 16, 1943, every household received a typed notice from the War Office. They had until December 19th to leave. 30 days to abandon homes, fields, and the rhythm of farm life that had shaped the valley for generations. Families packed what they could carry, locking doors they believed would open again. A note was pinned to the church door by a villager, its plea still debated among descendants, asking, "Please treat the village kindly." But the army never returned what it took. The stone cottages stand roofless, the school desks untouched, the church silent. Today, Tyneham sits behind a locked gate on the Lulworth Ranges. Entry is allowed only when the red flags are down, 9 a.m. until dusk, and only on days with no firing. Unexploded shells remain buried in the ground, a warning as real now as it was in 1943. One former resident's granddaughter described it best. "It's as if time stopped the day we left." Imber's fate arrived with a longer countdown. In the winter of 1943, villagers received a 47-day notice from the War Office. Enough time for weddings, christenings, and last Christmases, but not for hope. By late January, the lanes stood empty. The army took possession, and Imber became part of the Salisbury Plain firing ranges. Most buildings fell silent under the rattle of blank rounds and tank treads, but St. Giles Church, a Grade 1 listed survivor from the 13th century, still stands. Its thick walls outlasted the war and decades of target practice. Today, the church is cared for by a custodian who unlocks its doors only on rare open days, about a dozen each year, often during the August bank holiday or for Imberbus Day, when a single bus route brings visitors from Warminster. The rest of the time, Imber remains off-limits. Red flags warn of live fire, and the Ministry of Defence's own safety notices warn that unexploded shells may still lie hidden under the grass. For those who keep the keys, each visit is both a privilege and a reminder that some places are never truly given back. On the Devon coast, Hull Sand's fate was sealed when the Admiralty removed 650,000 tons of shingle between 1897 and 1902, erasing the village's natural shield. On January 26, 1917, a storm shattered what remained. Homes were swept away and the fishing fleet was stranded. Stories linger of families watching the sea claim everything. Maritime archaeologists trace the ruins, warning of currents that still shift the sands. Centuries before, Old Winchelsea was lost to the sea in 1287, a storm surge rising like a mountain, drowning the port. Only fragments remain at low tide, reminders that water's threat endures, engineered or wild. In 1965, the Tryweryn Act swept aside every local objection and allowed Liverpool Corporation to drown Capel Celyn beneath the new Llyn Celyn Reservoir. 67 Welsh-speaking residents were forced from their homes, despite months of protest and a unanimous vote against the scheme by Wales's own members of Parliament. The chapel, school, and graveyard vanished under 30 meters of water, and only a handful of graves were moved before the valley filled. On rare drought years, the stone walls of the village resurface, silent proof of a community erased by parliamentary decree. Swimming and diving are banned here. The water hides strong currents and submerged ruins that have trapped more than one trespasser. For many, the warning remains. What was taken for the city's thirst still holds its danger and sorrow. Dunwich's ruins are not just relics, they are a warning written in shifting earth. Over 7 centuries, the sea took 7 churches, each collapse recorded in parish rolls and faded maps. In 1919, the last of them, All Saints, slid from the cliff, its stones crashing into the surf below. But the threat has not faded with memory. In early 2024, heavy rain caused the cliff edge to retreat 6 feet overnight, forcing the Coast Guard to close the main footpath with immediate effect. University erosion models now show Dunwich's shoreline losing up to 2 meters a year. A Coast Guard official described the ground as moving under your feet. The danger is not just history. It is happening now, and the warning stands. What was lost to the sea centuries ago still claims land, and sometimes lives, today. Warren Percy sits alone in a North Yorkshire valley, its story written in the soil. In the mid-14th century, the Black Death swept through, and manorial rolls record the village shrinking from 30 households to just 8 within a decade. The land's fate was sealed not by a single disaster, but a slow unraveling. By the 1500s, the last families were forced out under the pressure of enclosure, as sheep replaced people on the open fields. Today, English heritage stewards the fragile earthworks, stone outlines of homes, and a churchyard where grass grows over medieval graves. Archaeologists warn that even footsteps can leave a mark, and signs ask visitors to tread lightly. Warren Percy endures as a reminder that loss can be gradual and that the traces of a vanished life are easily erased. St. Kilda's fate was sealed not by a single storm or order, but by the relentless hardship of isolation. In the years before 1930, parish registers recorded a staggering toll. Nearly 80% of infants died from tetanus, a crisis that left the community with no future. The island's council petitioned for evacuation, and on a grey August morning, families boarded the steamship Ephraim, leaving behind stone cottages and empty fields. The journey to the mainland took 14 hours, but the sense of distance was measured more in generations than in miles. Today, anyone hoping to set foot on St. Kilda must secure a landing permit from the National Trust for Scotland. Even with permission, Atlantic storms can trap visitors for days, a reminder that the risks of remoteness remain as real as ever. On Skye, the clearances struck with brutal speed. On May 30th, 1853, Lord Macdonald's factor handed tenants at Boraraig and Swiesnish a 24-hour eviction notice. By morning, families watched their homes burn. Roof timbers and doors were stacked to ensure no return. Over 50 families were scattered, some forced overseas, others squeezed onto neighbouring crofts. The memory of that night lingered in Gaelic songs like Antí Eilean Ard, each verse echoing loss and exile. Today, only stone ruins remain, 6 miles from the nearest road, where even experienced hikers warn of sudden fog and silence. In Kent, warnings come not from the land, but from the living. Pluckley, called England's most haunted village, saw crowds surge after the BBC broadcast in 2004. By 2020, the parish council imposed a Halloween event ban, enforced by police fines and new bylaws. Residents complained of trespassers rattling gates, tourists ignoring private signs, and late-night noise that left nerves frayed. Council minutes detail the 2020 ban and spot checks. Even now, bylaws cap gatherings and forbid amplified sound after 10. Here, the threat isn't ghosts, but the tension between memory, privacy, and the relentless pull of tourism. These ghost towns remain fenced off, not just by law, but by memory. Their warnings echo today, as rising seas and forced evictions still redraw maps. What boundaries will we cross next?